What up YouTubers, Salvador Brigman here, and today we're talking about a crowdfunding 101 course. So I'm going to walk you through not only what crowdfunding is, not only what you can use it for, but also some of the things that you should know as you're going into your first crowdfunding campaign. You know, these are things that many entrepreneurs who've been on my forum, kickstarterforum.org, or they've been on crowdfunding forum have come back to me and said, hey man, Sal, I wish I knew about this tool, or I wish I knew about this strategy, or man, if I'd only done things differently, if I discovered you sooner, I'd have a better chance going into my first crowdfunding campaign. And I've heard it time and time again. So I want to share some of those lessons with you, but also give you a bit of strategy going into your own crowdfunding raise. So you can actually raise money successfully. You can do whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's more of an entrepreneurial gadget or a gizmo. I want to arm you with the tools that you can use to be more successful. So the first thing I want to do here is sort of break down the different types of crowdfunding. And there are actually a lot. You know, I was surprised to learn there are a lot of different types of crowdfunding. When I first got involved with this in 2012, I was pretty much only interested in Kickstarter and equity crowdfunding. So I learned a ton about Kickstarter, learned about the different categories, learned about Indiegogo, etc. So most of the beginning of my career is spent on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and also a bit in terms of equity crowdfunding. And that sort of branched out over time to be 4 different books that I've written, which you can find in Amazon. These are the Kickstarter Launch Formula, Nonprofit Crowdfunding Explained, Real Estate Crowdfunding Explained, and Crowdfunding Personal Expenses. And crowdfunding personal expenses, you know, you can think of like GoFundMe. You can think of raising money for travel costs or raising money for a memorial fund, that kind of stuff. Real estate crowdfunding, I'm not really going to get too much into in this video. If you want to learn more about that, you can go and check out a link that I'll include in the description of this video. But finally, the 2 ones that I really want to hone in on, the ones I want to focus on with this video are Kickstarter and Indiegogo, which is called rewards-based crowdfunding. And I also want to focus on nonprofit crowdfunding. So I think the first thing when we think of crowdfunding, we think of raising money online, it's like, wow, there is a crowd out there that is willing to give money to these cool projects, to these cool fundraisers. What if I could access that crowd? Like, what if I could actually go out there and put my project in front of them? I would get a ton of backers. I would get a ton of new donors. I would get a ton of supporters. Like, how freaking cool would that be? You see all these like major media success stories. You see campaigns raising hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, talking about CNN and TechCrunch and etc. Engadget, like all these different media publications. It's like, wow, it seems really easy. Like, is there something that I'm missing here? And of course, there is something that's missing, which we're going to go into. So you sort of are, many people are roped into crowdfunding by either supporting a friend's campaign. They go on Kickstarter, they see a product they really like, maybe they see a major media success story, or they're searching out ways to get funding. And that funding could be for a nonprofit, that funding could be for their business. These are usually the typical ways that people come across crowdfunding and sort of stumble into this growing niche, this growing industry. So there are these different types of crowdfunding, but they do share something in common. So if you will, the secret of crowdfunding is not the fact that you can now share video online, which is awesome. It's not the fact you can put together a campaign page, which is also super freaking cool, and you can share that with all of your friends. It's actually this launch process that's used with every single type of crowdfunding campaign. And the way the process works is, number 1, if you did your homework right, you have a pre-launch. Number 2, you announce the campaign to all of the people who have either followed you on social media, all of the people who have subscribed via your email list, the people who are your friends and your family. You do a really big, a lot of hype, a lot of buzz campaign launch. And that's what gets people in the door. And then usually within the first week, you're really trying to ascend there, starting to get more backers, more people supporting your cause. So the launch process is pre-launch, announcing that launch, and then there is the end period. This is the fundraising duration that you have for your project. So a lot of people are like, why is it that I would have a fundraising duration? Why is it that I would have only 30 days or only 45 days or only 20 days to actually raise money with one of these campaigns? Like, why would I do that? Wouldn't I want to like keep raising money forever? Wouldn't that be great? The reason is that the thing that makes crowdfunding work is this crowdfunding duration. And of course, it's also the fundraising goal that you set. as you're progressing towards your crowdfunding goal, it gains momentum, it gets people really excited, it allows other people to see like, oh, other people are supporting this campaign. This isn't just some weird dude on the internet who's trying to raise money for this thing. Like, other people are also supporting it. I'm gonna take 2 seconds, I'm gonna watch his video or read through his campaign text. It seems like it's for a good cause, or it seems like a really cool product. I wanna know more about it. But the actual duration here, the end point, that's what really triggers the emotion of urgency. So what is urgency? Urgency is when you feel like there's time running out. You feel like you have to take action now, or otherwise you won't be able to in the future. A lot of the things in our to-do list, maybe you have like 10 items on your to-do list, usually only the top 3, maybe 5 get done throughout the day or even throughout the week. The things that have urgency in your life are usually the things that you take action on, because there's actually a little bit of fear attached to the actual action, that like, oh man, I won't be able to do this in the future. I need to take action now. This is urgent. So the goal with having a fundraising duration is that people aren't just like, oh yeah, I could give money, next week or next month or a year from now. Like, yeah, I support his campaign, I shared it, but like, I didn't give money yet. Yeah, I'm waiting around for that. That you just kind of find reasons to push it off of your plate. But if there's urgency, that friend, that family member, that person who subscribed to your email list, they're gonna be far more likely to actually pull out their wallet, their credit card, and support either your nonprofit crowdfunding campaign or your campaign on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So the launch process, pre-launch, you announce the project, you have a really strong first week, and then you have that urgency component built in. Of course, there are a lot of other components here, like social proof. There's the momentum gathering that you get throughout a campaign. I'll also link to another video where I talk about some of the psychological tricks and triggers that go into an actual good crowdfunding campaign and actually get people to turn from like visitors into actual backers of your project. So this is the basic launch process for a crowdfunding campaign. But what do you want to know? I think if you're on the other side of this video and you're trying to raise money for something, a very common mindset is like, oh, this is a really great project. Like, this is a really cool product. This is a really great cause. Of course, people are going to give money. And what ends up happening, many of the users who interact on my forum, many of the people who have contacted me over the years have said, hey, Sal, I thought this was a really great project. I launch it and it's like crickets. Like, no one is checking out their project. And it's really sad. It's really sad and disheartening to many people, and they end up just leaving crowdfunding altogether. They don't think to relaunch their campaign. They don't think to educate themselves beforehand. They just leave the campaign altogether, and I don't want that to happen to you. So at the second part of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what you need to do if you do want to have a strong first week with your crowdfunding campaign. And this is the golden, I don't know how we say this. This is the crux of what you need to do. This is crowdfunding 101. This is what you have to do if you want to successfully raise funds. So I'm gonna be talking about that, but before we do, I do wanna mention that if you haven't already, take a second to come subscribe to this YouTube channel, because I do put out a lot of great free content. I also have some premium content and also a free video course that I've put together just for you. So this goes through not only how to get backers, not only how to employ many of these psychological tricks and triggers that we talked about to get people to support your project, but it also goes into how to do more advanced topics. So like, how do you actually go out there and you spread the word about your campaign? You get media companies that are actually interested in writing about you. You're on publications. You have a bit of a viral lift with your project. I'm gonna be talking about all of that in this free course that I put together for you. So I'm gonna link to that in the description down below. So if you wanna check that out, I really urge you. The number one thing that successful crowdfunding campaigns do, what separates the successful ones from the not so successful ones is that they are willing to educate themselves in this pre-launch process. They're 3 months out from the campaign. They're willing to educate themselves about the basics of crowdfunding. They're willing to learn about the proven techniques that work to actually get funds. And also, they look at other people's campaigns. They go on Kickstarter, they go on Indiegogo, they go on some of these nonprofit crowdfunding websites, and they actually go and look into these campaigns. They're like, okay, how is he doing his messaging? Okay, what kind of updates is she posting for her campaign? What does her video look like? They're actually willing to prepare a bit. They're not just hoping like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit that launch button and like I'm gonna just have an influx of pledges because I'm awesome and my product is awesome. They have a different approach. They put the emphasis on the crowd and they think to themselves, okay, if I was coming into this campaign, I watched this video, I read this product a little bit, I learned a bit about it. Would I want to actually support this? And if not, what would actually put me over the edge? What would make me want to support this? What are the emotions I would want to feel? Or how do I want my backers to feel when they come to this campaign page? These are some of the different things you need to be thinking about in the pre-launch phase. The number one thing that you must do if you want to have a strong crowdfunding campaign. If going into your launch, you actually want to be successful, you want to hit your goal ahead of schedule, this is what you need to do. You need to have a soft launch period. In a little bit, you need to kind of manufacture success in that way. So what do I mean by manufacturing success, etc.? I mean, you need to not only set a realistic goal, a realistic fundraising goal that you can hit. You should try to line up backers before you launch this project. You should try to get a certain number of backers in the door that are willing to pledge to your campaign. And they're going to do it on the first day, the second day, the third day of your live campaign. And what that's going to do is not only will you actually hit your fundraising goal, say within the first week, but you're also going to trend much, much better in the overall platform. The algorithm that goes into Kickstarter, the algorithm that goes into Indiegogo, which actually determines how projects and how campaigns rank on their platform. You're going to rank much better. So you're going to stand out among many of the other crowdfunding campaigns. So you're going to actually rope in strangers. You're going to rope in backers who are regular supporters on Kickstarter, Indiegogo. You can call these sort of like super backers. You can call them regular repeat backers. These are the people you're going to gain access to once you have a very strong first week. So you want to manufacture success a little bit. You want to make sure that you have a soft launch where you're announcing this project to your inner circle and getting them to take action. And then you're going to leverage that success. So leveraging that success, by that I mean using these numbers to sway the influence of journalists, to get them to write about you, using them to convince people who are a little bit skeptical about what you're doing, about all the people that have already backed it, and you only have this many days before the actual fundraiser runs out. You're leveraging the initial success from that soft launch period in order to get attention, in order to get people to take action, and also just to rope in more attention in terms of media and influencers and all of that kind of stuff. That is the secret. That is the number one thing that successful crowdfunding campaigns do, is that they have this manufactured success in a certain sense. And they are willing to spend also on marketing. They have a budget set aside for PR, for things like Facebook advertising. They even have a budget for educational content, learning and training their team, all of this kind of stuff. They set aside a budget. I know what you're thinking, like, at least a lot of people that email me think this. They're kind of like, well, Sal, it's great, but like I'm a small business. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a small nonprofit organization. How can we actually afford to do this? Like, we're going on a crowdfunding campaign platform to actually raise money, not to invest money. And what I usually say to that is, number one, it does take money to make money. But number two, while yes, in the beginning of crowdfunding, you could probably get away with just throwing up a project or throwing up a video, the dynamics have changed a ton. It's become very competitive. So if you want to stand out, you have to be willing to invest in you. You have to be willing to invest in your team. And most importantly, you have to be willing to invest in marketing and promoting your crowdfunding campaign. I'm talking Facebook ads, email lists, PR, like all of that kind of stuff. You have to be willing to set aside a budget for that. It doesn't have to be necessarily a lot of money, but honestly, if you can, you will stand a greater chance of success if you set aside, say, $5,000 ahead of time for things related to the actual promotion of the crowdfunding campaign, and you will thank me later. It's all about ROI, guys. It's an investment. But if you want to learn more, you want to learn more and you want to get up to speed more quickly in terms of the basics of crowdfunding, first of all, I invite you to join that free course that I mentioned. I'll include a link in the description of this video, but also take a second to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. I do tend to go way more in depth with my videos. Some people like 1-minute videos or 2-minute videos. I'm not really about that. I'm more so about sharing comprehensive information. I want you to have a to Z launch plan, and I want you to feel comfortable when you go out there and you raise money on a crowdfunding campaign platform. So be sure to give me a thumbs up so that I know you like this video, and also come subscribe if you want more videos like this.